And then the fact that some friendships are just for seasons.
For seasons, yeah.
Let's make peace with that. Some friendships are just for a season. They're serving a certain kind of narrative that you're holding at that time.
Yeah.
And since maybe you're pursuing personal development,
yeah,
you find that you probably don't hold that narrative anymore.
Again. It's so many things you can do. I feel like society has made us feel like there are only two titles, especially when you're in high school and growing, and you're only thinking, I want to be a doctor, I want to be. But is it the case? If you fail at that, does it? It's not even failing. If you take like a turn, it's not that you failed at life. Like there is so many
there's
endless possibilities.
At any given point in time, I evaluate myself and I'm like, okay, what are my strengths right now? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? What are those things that are surrounding me that are good and I can tap into for my growth? And what are those things that could threaten maybe my progress?
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria and today I have the amazing Sandra. She's going to tell us about herself, but I'm also excited to have her. Sandra and I have known ourselves for some time. We have some history together. Should we call it history?
Some history.
Some history. We went to the same, we did the same course at campus, and we've stayed in touch. But other than that, I've known Sandra to be one of those people that are go-getters, the people that push the boundaries. And I'm just happy to have her, first of all, on this channel. And before I tell you a lot about her, I'd want her to introduce herself. So we get to know who she is. And maybe to just give you a little snippet about what we're discussing today. We are talking about growth, career, personal development, and some of the life lessons you've gathered through this journey. So Sandra, would love to know who you are. Please speak to the viewers.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Maria. First of all, thank you for regarding me eligible. Who am I to be in your YouTube channel?
It's a pleasure.
It's such an honor for me as well.
Thank
you very much. My name is Sandra Joyce Nachibuka, like Maria has told you. I'm a public health specialist. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm an auntie. And I think I'm an ambivert lately. Like I feel like with time I've become an ambivert. I used to feel like I'm so extroverted, but now I feel like I like a bit of quiet and my peace and then calmness. And then I also like to connect and be out there. So I'm an ambivert.
Okay. Sandra, one of the things, by the way, that I've known you for is how you speak to people, especially through her WhatsApp number. If anyone has Sandra's WhatsApp number, they know she talks about different topics, and how you talk about it is so inspiring. And for me, I pay attention to details. So at some point I was like, she has so much wisdom, right? And want to share this wisdom in this video, because the purpose of this channel and YouTube presence is for me to maybe speak to people, but also host people like yourself, people that speak to others and maybe inspire along the journey of life. For school, where did you go? Maybe briefly, maybe high school, your undergrad, and where you ended up, and maybe just tell us about if some of the classes you've taken, let's say high school, campus, and any other courses you've done, have molded you into where you are now, and how they've contributed to where you're currently.
Thank you very much, Maria. Firstly, I'll start with, we all don't remember our nursery schools, do we?
Like especially if they were not the current international
school in the neighborhood. So school in the neighborhood, really, where I used to walk and then come back at 1. So I don't really have much memory. But then
about the nursery school.
In primary, I went to Shimoni.
Shimoni.
Shimoni Demonstration School.
Is Shimoni still there? Sorry.
No, they moved. I was actually in the year when they removed it. I was in my P6. I moved to Nakasero Primary School. And that's when I completed, and I got 4 aggregates. What's quite interesting about that experience is I collect all the kids in the neighborhood. Yes, and I would teach them. And my dad was very supportive. I remember he got for me chalk, and we had sort of like a room next to our house that was empty. So I had a blackboard there. I would teach. I would give kids homework. I would mark them. I was that very serious.
That's quite exceptional, because teaching people in your primary 7 is
exactly. And you know how in primary people say I played a lot, and you don't even know the purpose of education at that time. But I think for me, I got it straight on, like please, you're supposed to read. I'll be those kids from school. I get back home, I wash my uniform, I sit down, I do homework. Sorry, it's serious. Actually, if you to ask anyone who studied with me in primary, I would tell you I was a very serious girl. I joined Gaza High School, and it was a good run as well.
Gaza is a single school. Is there any way it has changed your view of life?
Well, the fact that it's a traditional school,
yeah,
it has principles and culture. It wasn't really about are there boys or there are no boys. It was more of what you're learning. Because we'd learn how to do housework, just being taught how to be a lady.
Calm and collected.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you ended up in Macquarie University, where I met Sandra.
I think we met for the first time. Yes,
at campus. Yeah. So we both did, we were in a medical course, so biomedical lab technology.
That's how you've forgotten that course. You've moved on.
I have moved on.
I think I would say I stumbled into it. Anyone who has done sciences, that PCB, I did PCB.
Yeah, I did BCM.
So anyone who does those combinations, the only thing you're aspiring for is to be a doctor.
Or I think doctor or pharmacist.
Or pharmacist or dental surgeon maybe. But it's high, doctor, pharmacist and that. So
and
when you
they make us feel like there is no other way around it.
Exactly, like the career guidance is not that sufficient lacking. To know that there are all these other options out there. So when you don't get it, if you don't get medicine, you just feel like, okay, the next best is you want to still stay in the hospital setting because at that time, maybe your conditioning is once you're in the hospital setting, you've made it in life. Any association to the doctor kind of title. Yes. So interesting. I just wanted, I think, even the parents really at that time, because it's not fully your choice.
Yes.
The parents have a huge
say in it.
Because you're still young. I mean, you're about 18. So that's when I stumbled into biomedical lab as an option of not getting medicine.
Medicine. I think it's very true. But I also find that I like the point of career guidance is lacking because how I ended up in bioinformatics, which was not even that entirely connected to BLT, is one of the stories that I think is worth maybe telling because it's so many things you can do. I feel like society has made us feel like there are only two titles, especially when you're in high school and growing and you're only thinking, I want to be a doctor, I want to be. But is it the case? If you fail at that, does it? It's not even failing. If you take like a turn, it's not that you failed at life. Like there is so many endless possibilities. So the other thing about Sandra is she's very keen on personal growth and development.
Yes.
I just want you to let us know how that looks like for you, like personal growth, how you understand it. And some of maybe the principles that have brought you to where you're at now.
Okay, thank you so much, Maria. I'm so passionate about personal development, mostly because I believe we have to improve. Like it's continuous improvement. When does it stop? I don't know. Maybe when you die.
When you die, because learning doesn't stop.
Like once you stop learning, today someone said, the moment you stop learning, you're uneducated the day after you get. So I'm very, very passionate about it because I believe there's always something to improve. You can never really say
we are students for life.
Yeah, we're students for life. And how I approach it is I think I always evaluate myself at a given point in time and I say, okay, this is where I'm at. Am I comfortable? Of course, no one is comfortable. So what do I need to get to the next level? And sometimes what you need, number one, may be that course, that extra course. But beyond the extra course, you may need to learn certain skills. Because, if you're aspiring to be, let's say, a manager, you're not going to be a manager who doesn't have self-esteem, zero confidence, you can't talk, you can't stand in front of people, like
you can't communicate.
Exactly, you can't communicate. So you could, you've gotten the degree or the master's or the PhD, but then there's these other soft skills that you need that are going to help you in your next role. As you climb up. So to me, personal development is all about let's get better every day.
Let's get better every day. You talked about evaluating yourself. So how do you do that? Like how do you evaluate yourself and against which maybe standards do you evaluate yourself?
Like sort of a SWOT analysis for where I was done a SWOT analysis, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. So you look at what are your strengths right now, what are my strengths right now, and like, okay, maybe I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at that. What are my weaknesses? Because sometimes every opportunity presents, it's like sort of showcases you new weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Some things can just merge up. You can say, I'm not short-tempered until you get into a relationship.
That just
throws you off. Exactly. Then you realize
that tests your patience.
Exactly. By the way, maybe I'm short-tempered. Or you might think But communication is not my thing. Yes. But until you get in a place that requires you to step up and be an effective communicator, maybe you're managing stakeholders and things like that.
Yeah.
So at any given point in time, I evaluate myself and I'm like, okay, what are my strengths right now?
Yeah.
What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? What are those things that are surrounding me that are good and I can tap into for my growth?
Yeah.
And what are those things that could threaten maybe my progress?
Yes, I find that sometimes we are biased when we are evaluating ourselves. It's easy for me to only speak the nicest things about me, even when I'm talking about weaknesses. But sometimes when
like you're so lenient.
You're so lenient. Or you're either lenient or you're very hard.
Exactly.
Because it's easy for you to discredit yourself when you. Because sometimes there is self-sabotaging, there is self-scrutiny, there is all these things, and so. How does that look like? Is it through accountability partners? Is it through just yourself?
Well, I think it's a balance because I have to first sit down with myself and say, okay, because a lot of times by the time I ask you, Maria, I have an idea. Because if you completely don't know, a lot of times you might think when someone tells you a weakness, you might think it's an attack on your ego.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's something
also, you have to be very humble to take feedback.
Exactly. So when it comes from you first, when someone mentions it and says, you know what, Sandra, maybe you're so pushy. Yeah, you've already done the work on yourself. Like, maybe I'm so pushy. Yeah. So when someone says it, it's not like a completely attack. You're able to take it in better faith.
Yeah, you take it with grace.
Yeah. So I would say I do it with myself, but I also do it with people. It's a mix.
It's a mix.
It's a balance of both. Yeah.
Because honestly, it's, things like, of course, being very lenient with yourself, things like self-sabotage come in handy a lot, especially as we grow. I feel like the stages we're in, like people like to call it adulthood. It is adulthood. It comes
the
with
ghettos, right?
It comes with its perks. It's not as smooth as you think. So, and also, of course, there's so many things to look into, like mental health, like but your personal space, boundaries, and also trying to like strive, because we strive a lot for so many things and then we forget to like be here in the moment, because you're pushing and pushing and you want more of this, more of that, more of that. But just evaluating yourself based on where you're at now and just knowing that you're working towards like some of the goals that you have.
Brilliant.
Very brilliant.
Thank you, Mary.
What have been some of your life learnings? Some of the things you've had to unlearn. Let's say it could even be yesterday, because who you are yesterday is probably different from today. Unlearnings and learnings you've had to go through. So because I feel like in life you either learn, you unlearn, you take on new perspectives, and how that has probably formed your life to date. I think I'll start with the, should I say the unlearnings? Because that's what people don't want to admit. Exactly.
That I had to unlearn this. They want to be like, yes, I learned this and that. But it sounds like a learning, but it's an unlearning. Difference doesn't mean wrong.
Difference doesn't
opinions,
mean wrong. In perception,
exactly. In perceptions, and just because someone is different, maybe they are thinking a certain type of way.
That is a strong one. Huh?
It doesn't make them wrong.
Can I admit, the moment someone is different from you, you're already feeling like it's an attack.
Yes, you're already
I need to absorb that and say difference
doesn't mean wrong.
Yeah,
difference doesn't mean wrong. And it was actually one of my biggest lessons last year, because it came from a place of, like you mentioned, every time someone says something different, whether you're in a meeting or it's a friend and stuff, and they just want to act completely different. You just feel like, no, you're wrong.
I think that's where objectivity comes in, because if you're only fixated on one kind of mindset, it can limit your growth in different ways. I like that.
So difference doesn't mean wrong. So it was just coming from a place of wanting people to be on the same kind of thinking all the time. The other thing that I had to unlearn is never to be entitled to my advice.
Entitled.
Like if I come and I give you advice, Maria, I tell you, oh, Maria, I think that guy is not good for you, or I think you shouldn't take that job abroad. You're going to lose touch with your family. Like, and then you do opposite,
and then you find that
you've done what I was telling you to do. That shouldn't make us. It shouldn't be any bad blood. Like we should make peace. Like I shouldn't feel like I'm giving you advice. You must take it.
Follow.
You must take it.
I think that's nice, because it comes from maybe giving the people you're with grace. Approaching people where they're at, as opposed to you imposing.
Exactly.
Also, it comes with such an open mind. Because how many times do you tell someone something and you're okay if they don't take it?
Exactly.
Still, it would be offensive. You have to be so open-minded.
Because to me, it also comes from a place of, when I say unlearn, that means I was that. Then now
it comes from a place of experience. Because you know how it feels like. Exactly. Yeah, you can better understand now.
Yeah. So back in the day, you would give someone advice and feel like they must take it. What your advice was wise and good. Yeah. Right now, I could just give him my opinion and give him my advice and then leave it at that. And that doesn't make you bad. Yeah. We still stay friends and stuff with your new kind of way of doing things. Yeah.
It also comes from like a place of humility. Because I think it's pride for you to want people to do things your way.
Your way, exactly.
Yeah. Like you want everyone to be on the same wavelength as you. Yes. But then we forget that people are actually very different. Yeah. We are very different, and it's the differences in life that make us people, that make life enjoyable. Because imagine if
we're all the same.
We're all the same. Like we need to strike a balance in friendships, in career, and what. So at least you have to be different. Yeah.
So that's the two unlearning.
One of it is differences aren't
that
wrong.
Difference doesn't mean wrong, and then not being entitled to that, to your advice that you give people.
I am learning.
And then so one of the learnings that I have learned is personal branding.
Personal branding. She is big. About personal branding. This girl can type status over. I don't know what's the limit on WhatsApp.
God. I don't even know if it catches me. Yes, it catches me. So I had to go back and just cut and stuff.
Yeah. But talk about personal branding.
Okay, personal branding. I think recently I was watching something and they were talking about who you are as a person when you're in a room. Who are you? Who do you present yourself as? Who do people know you as Maria? Like if someone says, "Oh, have you met Maria?" Oh, the girl who
creates content.
Exactly.
Or maybe the girl is a research scientist.
What do people know you for? Exactly. So it's very easy to think, those things are for content creators. You don't need that. But everyone is a content creator in a way. It's just that some are being more intentional about it and more aggressive. But everyone is a content creator in a way. Because content is just, I think, putting pieces together. You may not
delivering that.
So you may not, the mode of delivery might differ.
Different. Yes.
Someone may create a YouTube channel, another one has a LinkedIn, another one has maybe
subscribe if you haven't.
Please do it. Like, share with a friend. And so everyone's mode of delivery is different, but somewhere all content creators. And it's that content that at some point gives us the brand of who we present ourselves as to our friends, to our families, to the people out there, to the public. So I just not recently learned, I think I put language to it, that personal branding is very, very important. You need to stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, then you stand for everything. You fall for everything. So that's one of the key things. And personally, I'm very intentional about it on my WhatsApp status, but also on my LinkedIn.
So what's your LinkedIn handle? I think I will tap a link so people can...
Sandra Joyce Nachibuka. Yes, that's my LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn, you basically use your name.
Your name, Has personal branding brought you some opportunities?
Oh yes. Are
there some that you'd like to share, and how that when you meet someone, what things do you talk about? How do you? I think that's also in the line of networking, in building connections, in putting yourself out there. Because personal branding, like she said, I don't want even to repeat. She said it in the best way possible. Is how you put yourself out there and what people know you for. Because sometimes it's easy to meet who is a prospective future employer. But if you're not able to portray your message, to tell people, maybe to get numbers, because you can get numbers and it stays in your phone without reaching out. So how do you approach that? Personal branding, building networks, connections, finding the right things to say, making sure that your connections yield to something which is mutually beneficial.
So personal branding to me, how I approach it, of course I said I'm very active on my WhatsApp and my LinkedIn. But I make sure I'm vocal about, number one, the things I do and the things I would love to do. Because I might be doing something, I'm a public health specialist, but it may not be where I want to be in the next 5 years. So I also ensure that I'm vocal about where I actually want to be.
And speaking it into existence.
Exactly, speaking into, the words of affirmation and stuff, we know how powerful that is. So I ensure that people know, because sometimes you can have an opportunity and you end up giving it to someone else because you probably no one can come to your mind who wants that, and yet you have people within your circles that could tap into the opportunity, but because they haven't spoken about themselves like that, and a stranger comes, you're at a meeting or a workshop or even a function, a party or what, and they tell you, oh, I want this, and then you give the opportunity to someone else. So to me, it's about letting people know what I am doing currently and what I would love to do, what the kind of spaces I would want to be in, so that when Maria gets an opportunity, she knows, oh, Sandra mentioned she's passionate about this and she wants to do this, let me tap her onto that. So how I introduce myself, of course, it's public health, it's project management. So I tell people, I'm very open about it. Like I don't shy away from I need opportunities, because everyone is looking. I
mean, you only get that which you go for at some point.
Like put yourself out there. No one is going to come for you. So there's no shyness, there's no shame in saying, look, I want a better opportunity. I mean, I love this and it's good, but everyone wants better. And that's why even the biggest guys in the economy are still working and still trying to network and get better. So.
I've seen you post about how I don't know, it was recent, about a lady who was sharing away from like social media. Maybe there is a post like that, and it just reminded me also, like when you were speaking, I remembered how I got my first formal employment. It was through like informal settings. You know how you go out, because I was working in like marketing, completely different from where I'm at now. But while I was at the marketing gig, I was just there working normal things like ushering people and doing all that stuff. I got to know there was a person who was working at who was the owner of a hospital. So I reached out, introduced myself, and told them I'm doing marketing. I'm doing it as part-time, but my study, because I was doing biomedical lab technology, is this and that, and I hope to finish at this time. It was an informal setting, but that's how I got my first formal job. So you never know
success stories.
You never know that people you're presenting yourself to. You never know where that would lead.
Exactly.
It is just in such subtle environments that sometimes leads to the biggest opportunities.
The intentionality, I mean, the intentionality and not esteeming lightly the opportunities around you. Because there's this quote, I formed it myself.
This one you're going to copyright it.
I formed it myself.
I like that.
And it's just because I usually get nuggets of wisdom. Like it's just opportunities will always present themselves. They just won't come written on the word opportunity. But if you look closely, maybe you'll see them for what they truly are. So that's why I'm saying, like, opportunities are always there. Now you being in that space with that someone, you saw an opportunity to actually talk about yourself and let them know, like I mentioned, what you're doing currently, but what you would love to do. Because sometimes you're in spaces, but you're not comfortable. You're temporarily because
it's
of
only
situations.
like a stepping stone. Also, not to learn, not to stay in the same position. Like to not arrive.
Exactly. Arrival is kills people.
For me, I like to say it's just transition. If I am here now, I'm just transitioning to where I want to be, but I haven't arrived yet.
We're still going. I mean, when does it stop? When we die. When we die. Because I mean, if it stops,
but even if we die, the legacy will continue.
Exactly. It should outlive us. And actually, that's I think the goal for it to, just like how we're using Apple and stuff. And Steve Jobs is not in existence right now, but I mean the legacy he left behind has outlived him. So, and I think that should be the goal for all of us.
That's excellent. So what other bits of personal branding? Do you sometimes feel like in some spaces you can't say certain things?
There's stuff that stand true, that are constant. I mean, my career, I can't change my profession. I'm a public health specialist. So I may introduce myself as that and maybe project management or entrepreneur and stuff. But then if I'm in a particular space room of entrepreneurs, I may give a general overview, but then capitalize more on the entrepreneurship depending on the space that I'm in.
So reading the room.
You read the room.
And knowing what to say at a particular point.
Exactly. What you dig deep into. Because, I mean, if I'm telling you about public health and we're here into entrepreneurship and business,
people won't relate.
Exactly. They want exactly. So I may just make mention of it just briefly on off the surface,
just in case someone has,
exactly, an opportunity there. You still don't completely just hold it back. No, you say it just casually, and then because some of these things are actually interlinked in a way.
Yes, they are.
Because you could find entrepreneurship in this, entrepreneurship in project management, entrepreneurship in bioinformatics. So, but you just make mention of it briefly, but then if you read the room and you say, okay, we're in a room of entrepreneurs, then maybe you capitalize more on the entrepreneurship side of your branding and stuff. Yeah.
And I think that's what makes for wholesome living. I take it from the line of everything is interlinked.
Yes.
Honestly, it's not just one thing that contributes to maybe someone's personal growth and development.
Exactly.
It's so many different facets, because if I'm an entrepreneur at some point, it doesn't mean I won't maybe fall sick, right? So I'll need like a health specialist in a way, or maybe so it's nice to know that things are interlinked and to not just be fixated on one thing, to have like a bit of an open mind in terms of approaching people, in terms of how we relate, because personal growth like has so many different facets. It has like spirituality, it has I'm trying to forget
everything. I mean, no,
everything,
you have to. And that's maybe just to add on that, when you're saying I'm improving myself, how I view improvement is it has to be holistic.
A
question I like to ask people, maybe I'll ask you, Maria, as well. What does
She's asking me on that.
What does happiness look like to you? Like, what does happiness look like to you?
Well, my happiness has, I think, kind of changed in different seasons. Sometimes I feel like, now am I going to answer this one directly? I want to give like a direct answer, but it's such a nice question, which I should have asked you. Now I'm put on a spot.
No, I'm going to answer it as well.
Happiness is not just fixated on one thing, because for wholesome living, I find that there are many things that make me. So like career, friendships, relationships, my personal space, entrepreneurship, so my spirituality, so making sure that all those things are in sync is what I would term towards happiness, like contentment. But then I also find that you don't chase like the perfect kind of merge. No, you don't find it. So consciously working towards that and like being content, because I think contentment is another word for happiness, but like being content where I'm at in the things I'm cultivating and making sure they make sense to me, like I'm not off track, brings me a sense of calm. So I love that. But then I would want to toss the question to you and ask you what happiness and success looks like for you right now, and maybe how it looked like a few days ago, a few years ago, how that has changed, and where we're at now.
I love this question. I actually really do. Because I am in a space where all the time I'm evaluating, am I happy, am I happy, am I happy? It's not a destination, right? It's not it's a journey. You can't say I'm happy full stop, like to me happiness is basically a balance. A balance of everything. Ensuring that, I think like you mentioned, my finances are good, my relationships are good, my family is good, my spiritual life is good. And generally just having like that holistic balance to life. Of course it's hard. I mean, at any given point in time something has to give. You'll find that you're pouring more into the career, and then the business is giving, or the family is giving, the relationships are giving. But I think if you are aware of the fact that there has to be a balance, somehow you can easily get back to working onto something that is giving, other than not being aware of it, and you're like, okay, Miss Happiness is my family, and that's it.
I think one of the central things of personal development is self-awareness. Because it kept coming up like aware. Because also then from the point you stated of evaluation. If you're not self-aware, you can't evaluate yourself.
Thank you.
So also personal growth and development is centered around like wholesomeness, balance. And I think that's what I was trying to look for. When I kept using you have like the better language for it. But like striking a balance. And I also find that you never seek like perfect balance. You only make it work, and being intentional and paying attention to all these different things.
And you could use a thing, or maybe timelines, and say, okay, maybe this week, because for example, if you're doing your PhD and you have maybe a thesis or coming up, or like in a particular time, something demands your attention. Of course, you don't prioritizing. You don't expect to be all over the place. So maybe in a week or a month where you have tight deadlines, you can say, okay, let me concentrate on my academics and maybe my spiritual life, because that one is a day-to-day. We can't do away with God. God is uncompromisable, really. But you can say, okay, let me focus on my career in the now. Then next month, maybe now that I have a break, let me check up on family and friends and stuff. And I think it also helps to communicate.
I was just thinking of the same thing. I was going to say, I think for you to say, let's say I'm going to focus on maybe my thesis or maybe my project that you're running. you have to tell people I might be missing in action for the next 3 months. Because it's easy for people to detach from you if you're not in touch.
Yeah.
If you're not in communication, and we don't want to compromise on the relationships that fuel us.
Exactly.
Because we need that balance.
Yeah, I mean, you after the thesis is done, whom are you going to come back to?
So I think that's one of the areas maybe I kind of struggle with, and I'm learning.
To communicate.
Again, to communicate and say, you know what, if I'm not present now, I hope you understand that maybe this is the result of my time.
Because of this.
But also know when to come back to it, because you're not going to be gone for a year.
Exactly, and give excuses to people all the time. I remember the time when I was doing my master's dissertation.
Yeah.
It was...
What master's did you do? You didn't tell us about your master's, by the way.
Public health. I remember when I was doing my dissertation. It was so demanding at that particular time. So I had to, I think there was someone, a particular people, who needed my attention and they wanted to have some solid conversations. They were friends basically. So I told them, look, just give me just this period.
How long was it?
I think I needed to submit, like, there were, I think 2 weeks. Okay, intense. I had done the prior work, but then there was that last 2 weeks.
The deadline.
The very last ones.
When you are like at
exactly, where you can't compromise, like anything, every minute counts. So that's when I asked them, look, I couldn't even take like those long phone calls because I'm a person who talks on phone like for 3 hours. For so long, or an hour or two. So I didn't have the luxury of that time. At that time, I'm like, look, I can't even take those 2 hour calls. It has to be really urgent. So I communicated, and like, once these are done, we're going to catch up on all that. So the communication also works
a lot.
When you're trying to balance.
So I'd like to tap from your experience in spirituality and how that has formed you. Are you, of what faith are you? Do we say religion? Do we say faith? Have you like had transitions? The fact that you were, I think Gayaza was a Catholic school.
It's Anglican.
It's Anglican. And your spirituality and how that has helped on your personal growth.
Well, of course, I have an Anglican background. But I think right now where I'm at is more of cultivating a personal relationship with God. It's not the whole religious whole thing
I belong to this
if you don't go to church, like lightning is going to strike you. It's more of I have a personal relationship with God, and how I view church is more of a place where I go to learn. Because like how you would go for a seminar and there's this professor who is giving you knowledge. So it's a place to go and worship and learn, but that doesn't exempt me from worshiping even at home and stuff. But I don't subscribe to that whole thing of
you can pray from home.
Yes, you can pray from home, but also that church is important, the community, because it says where 2 or 3 gather in my name, I shall be in their midst. So I go there to learn the word of God, to commune with other fellow Christians and stuff, to add on my knowledge. Because, I mean, they've walked that journey. And just like how God in the Bible, he gave like different gifts to different people. Some are prophets, some are apostles, some are evangelists. And so we are all not the same.
Different parts of the body that
make one body.
For it to function well.
Exactly. So you go in there to tap into what maybe the prophet has to say, an apostle, or someone that maybe he's hearing directly from God. Not that you can't hear, but it's just a balance of you have your personal journey with God, but then you're also able to fellowship and commune with other people. That's nice. I think again, me for I think I've talked about this, but I also grew up from a very conservative. I went to conservative school, as in Bishop's Piano. But already the name of the school unit was a Catholic school. So and also my background, of course, I come from a very staunch Catholic family, and it was mostly about you go to church and pray the rosary
and what, but like, what is my personal relationship with God? Like, who do I know God to be?
You as a person,
who is God in my life? So of course that I think it's a journey that is never ending, and I'm on that. But I've also learned like things like fellowship, things like reading the Bible for myself, as opposed to going to church and just taking what
ceremonial.
I like that. And most of the times I feel like the Bible has all the answers.
Exactly.
If you read, if you take time, it has all the answers, and also it talks about personal growth and development. In different ways. Because there's some verses that completely talk about maybe striking a balance. Where it tells us that it's the time for everything. The same way we're talking about time for maybe taste.
Seasons and times.
It helps us appreciate like where you're at now. To just I don't know, it has I would highly recommend.
Yeah, exactly. And you said something to do with how it's impacting the personal journey and stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, I found myself that, well, we're going to listen to all this information out there because there's so much to consume. But if it doesn't in a way relate to the principles of the Bible, I'm not taking it.
Yes.
Yeah. For example, if someone can come and tell you, we've had maybe philosophers talking about things to do with the universe, the what, and laws of attraction.
Yes.
I love a book called The Secret.
Yeah. I mean, book, and that book, by the way, for some reason changed.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful book. It's a very now when you read The Secret,
you tell us like maybe your best 4 books or something.
Okay, cool. So when you read The Secret, you'll see that Rhoda, the writer, is talking about laws of attraction and stuff.
Yeah.
And when you read the Bible, it will talk about things to do with affirmations, the tongue, because that's the same thing they talk about in The Secret. Affirming, ensure that you talk positive. When you want to attract something in your life, say it like as if you've already gotten it. And we know the Bible encourages us to call the things that are known as those they were. And then the power of the tongue, how the tongue can create and all of that. So in a way, to me, everything I read out there has to kind of make sense to the word of God. Yes.
So that means the Bible is your standard.
Yeah, it's my blueprint.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's my blueprint.
I love that. Same, because now we relate so much with that. It's so much information out there, and if you don't see it, you can you get lost.
You get lost.
Because one person have like a different kind of explanation, perspective, thinking, and then you follow that. Then, but if you don't come back to yourself and like, what is my standard? What is my blueprint? What do I take?
What is my true north? What is my true north? Like when all has been said and done, what now gives me direction at the end of the day?
Wow.
Ensuring that even as you're trying to pursue the balance, it's communication. Constantly. You communicate to those that are the things that are lagging, and the people involved in those things that are lagging. Maybe it could be
people
family.
that are affected by your busyness. Maybe when you're missing in action.
You ensure that you communicate. Our communication kind of helped me because it wasn't more of she's not picking our calls, or she just doesn't want to talk to us, or she's not showing up, but she's being distant. So I had to communicate it and made it easier.
And made it very easy. I like that because you find that sometimes as you get busy, you get consumed by career and all. And I mean, after the career, let's say you're done. Who are the people that are impacted by you? And if you don't make the system work effectively to keep all these things in balance, it brings a bit of drifting, friction, and maybe just a sense of, she's no longer present.
Exactly.
And you don't want that. So without being self-aware, you don't know how you're affecting other people. Because
you don't know how you're drifting.
Yes, you don't know. You just find that maybe 2 years down the road, you have no people around you.
You have no friends. Let me actually tell you briefly. I had a boss sometime that he was very feared. Like everyone would fear him. You know those bosses, like the moment he appears, everyone just scatters. So I sat down with him and I'm like, how come, like, why does everyone fear you? And he's like, I don't know why, but I'm like, so I asked him, do you have friends? He's like, he could probably be in his late 40s. That he was in his late 40s at the time. So he was like, well, not really. I'm like, how come? So whom do you share your success with? He's like, well, when I was building my career in my late 20s, early 30s, I concentrated so much on
the
it
career,
that I lost friends.
Oh, wow.
I lost the connection with my friends. I wasn't available. And now at that time he was trying to track back, but everyone had moved on. People had moved on. Because in the loss, when you're not present, it creates that bitterness because someone can only push for so long. And after some time, by the time you get back, like a lot has happened in their lives.
There's so many things that are not relatable ones. And I also want to talk about friendships, adult friendships, because as we're chasing career and all, like we have different things that make us. So how have adult friendships for you evolved? And not particularly like maybe your friends, but like the entire view of adult friendships and what it means and how you view them currently.
This is a very interesting thing because right now I feel like there has to be number one intentionality because everyone is so busy.
Everyone is just in something.
Everyone is just in something. You really need to be intentional. Because at first I think the proximity helped when you're at campus, when you're in high school. you find that proximity also contributes to
the friendship. Yes.
You find that right now, Maria, you're closer to maybe your workmates. I mean, they may not ideally be your first pick, but just because proximity,
we spend a lot of time together.
Yes. So proximity also can contribute in a way, and those that are not in proximity, you really have to be very intentional. And then the fact that some friendships are just for seasons.
For seasons,
Let's make peace with that. Some friendships are just for a season. They're serving a certain kind of narrative that you're holding at that time. And since maybe you're pursuing personal development, you find that you probably don't hold that narrative anymore.
Again, maybe there's not so many things you share now.
You share in common because you've evolved and you're maybe a different person. So realize they're not serving you that way. Not that there's any bad blood. You can keep in touch with the person. And I wish them well, but it's just not the kind of person that you're doing day-to-day life with.
Wow, and I think it's nice to be in a space of it's fine, it's okay.
It's okay, make peace
do not beat yourself up to it, because again, we are growing, it's different seasons. You know, the thing is, I realize right now, some of us are married, some of us are bosses, like everyone is in a different space. Someone is struggling to maybe sleep at night, maybe because their child is sick, and you expect for them to come to maybe your presentation or to come to your branch. Like, it's different things, different seasons. So the friendships, I'll tell you and call you and maybe Sandra, can we meet up this day? But perhaps I have like a child to cater to. So giving
and
people grace.
Yes,
and that's a priority. Being at peace and knowing that we are in different seasons. I think the Bible also talks about seasons a lot. Like knowing and giving people grace. I think it's also like part of personal growth and development, and just accepting it as it is. Wow. So the thing is, with Sandra, she talks, like we could go on and on and on.
The whole day.
The whole day. But let me say it. It's been a pleasure having you. And thanks for sharing generously. The Lord is very, very appreciative of you. I know, because
I'm humbled as well. I mean, when she reached out to me, I was more than glad to be here. Because I know she's a lady of wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
I was actually looking forward to it, because I felt like it would just be an edification of each other, like you're pouring into each other and sharing ideas and wisdom. So
so please do remember to engage with us in the comments. Just share some of the things that have resonated.
What you related with. We could have said like a point and you're like, me too. That can me too point. Please share, and where you feel like you have a difference in opinion, it's well as well. We welcome that. Because we're trying to grow each other here. What felt
subscribe to YouTube channel at this point. So thank you. Bye, until next time.
Millennials.
See you in my next video. Millennials be doing this all the time. Right? Hope to have you again.
All right.
On my channel.
I'll be here.